Hey, it's Alan with The Human Conditioned. I am so happy that you are here today. You might ask what the human conditioned is. The human conditioned is taking charge of those areas of our human existence that we can impact through our choices, actions, words, thoughts, and daily being. Personal training, as I have seen it through the years, is a non-regulated or very loosely regulated industry. Some of the certifications you can get pay only if you pass. You can get a Saturday morning weekend certification. You can get an online certification. You can get a certification with no formal education. One of the things that I bring to the table is not only a Bachelor of Science degree in physical education, but also a master's degree in working with individuals with exceptionalities. 28 years of teaching experience, numerous personal training certifications, and over 40 years of experience in coaching and training individuals. Fitness involves 5 components: cardiovascular endurance, muscular strength, muscular endurance, flexibility, and body composition. There are skill-related components of fitness: agility, the ability to quickly change direction easily; balance, the ability to remain upright; coordination, the ability to combine multiple activities in an effective movement pattern; power, which is an explosive display of strength; reaction, how quickly does the body respond to stimuli; and speed. Rather than personal training, I look at it as personalized training. The 2 main areas that I focus on are performance and longevity. Performance applies to all individuals and takes into consideration biomechanics and variations in those biomechanics in order to maximize the performance in daily activities, as well as activities, interests, goals specific to each individual. It includes the physiological, biomechanical principles, things to reduce the risk of injury, the incidence of injury, and includes a physiological basis for training. Rehabilitation, specific exercises designed to restore function, strength, range of motion, most often following injury, illness, or medical procedure, but it may also include prehabilitation, getting someone strong as they head into a surgery so that their recovery is shortened and they are able to return to activity as soon as possible. And the last area that I focus on is corrective and maintenance. Primary focus is on known diagnosed conditions. Activities designed to activate or create motor patterns in order to diminish the amount of impairment and at the very least maintain current function, ideally improving long-term level of function. I chose the Vitruvian Man as part of my logo as it closely represents the anatomical neutral position and movement from this position. Anatomical neutral position is the position that our body should function from. Standing upright with the legs together, knees straight, toes pointing forward, arms by the sides, and the palm facing forward. It's from this basic anatomical position that we base our training. And if we are working from that position, focusing on a neutral spine, we are more efficient, more effective, and much less likely to get injured. Dr. Stuart McGill from the University of Waterloo, one of the foremost lower back specialists in the world, says that on the average, those who have more range of motion in their backs have a greater risk of future problems. It's for this reason that we focus a lot and base all of our exercises off of a neutral spine position or returning to that anatomical position in order to maximize efficiency, reduce injury, and increase longevity. From a performance standpoint, I truly believe that we are all athletes and life is our athletic event. And we should be able to perform in our athletic event to the best of our ability as long as we continue to breathe. Injury prevention is critical to ongoing and progressive training. Some of the biomechanical considerations may be, for instance, a lunge variation. Different lunges are important for different people. I've heard people say that the forward lunge and stepping back out of that is not important. Tell that to a basketball player or a tennis player or any athlete who that level of changing direction and agility is mandatory for their performance in their sport. One thing that I often see with lunges also is individuals who are placing their hands on their hips or going side to side as they are lunging, basically training themselves to fall. Before I demonstrate lunges, I want to talk a little bit about a proprioceptive feedback loop. So if I'm sitting on the Swiss ball and I bring my feet as close together as possible and as close to the ball as possible, I have a little bit of instability. When I close my eyes, that instability is going to increase. So I'm sitting on the ball, little bit of instability. As I close my eyes, that instability increases. But if I take one finger and put the pad of my finger touching the wall or a board, that instability goes away. One of the fascinating things about that is if I take and I balance on one foot, there's going to be quite a bit of instability in my ankle. But if I bring my fingers together and touch the fingertips, that instability again subsides. That being said, when an individual is lunging, if I'm lunging forward with my hands on my hips, I am negating the body's natural response to upright. So I lunge forward, and that proprioceptive feedback loop through my fingertips is going to help me balance, and it's going to reduce the natural response that my body is required to use, which is going to set me up for a potential injury in a slip-fall situation. So what's the application? If I am lunging with my hands on my hips, that is providing my stability, and the core muscles do not have to respond in order to help me balance. The ideal way to train your body to increase balance is to rotate into the shoulders, palms facing forward and up, and lunge, requiring the body to balance itself instead of using the artificial support that comes from having your fingers on your hips or pressing off the leg. With an individual with an injury or chronic reduced range of motion, there's a few steps that we typically follow. Assessment of the initial range of motion and the function. Where is the individual based on where they were and where they would like to go? What is the bodily response to resistance? As we apply resistance to that joint, is there pain that's elicited? Is the individual afraid of moving in that range of motion and consequently holding back? If that happens to be the case, then we work with them with some life coaching skills and help them look at that from a different perspective and be able to refocus their mindset and take that chance and realize that they are in a safe environment and they are able to move forward with that. What are the compensations that they're making? One of the biggest causes of injury that I see, or pain, is an individual compensating for an injury that they have. Say, for instance, they have a right leg injury. As they start to favor that right leg, it transfers over to the other side. Very often, knees will transfer to hips, hips to knees, knees to ankles, and any of those compensations lead to other areas that were the individual moving in a normal, effective range of motion, those pains would not be occurring. We identify the sequential limitations based on the condition. Very often, an injury to a shoulder is going to have a great impact on what the individual can do in their elbow, sometimes in their wrist, based on what nerves are involved and whether or not there's any nerve impingement. And in cases where it's indicated, there are a number of professionals that I refer out to work with these individuals for those specific medical conditions. The idea is to design sequential exercises designed to return that range of motion and help the individual return to activity as soon as possible. Corrective and maintenance exercises, how does the condition present itself? Corrective may be for an individual with cerebral palsy. It may be for an individual who is an amputee. There's many, many situations that we look at correcting a situation or the result of the situation, but also maintaining what the individual has. How does the condition present itself? Is it progressive or regressive? What impact on the quality of life? What are the risks and rewards? And what are the protective instincts that this person is facing This is a major consideration, especially for people who have chronic medical conditions. The end result of a system-based focus is effective, efficient motor patterns and motor responses to stimulus which improve performance and decrease or eliminate the incidence of injury. Bottom line is it is an improved quality of life.
Variations in exercise help to prevent injury, mimic the range of motion for a specific sport or activity, help to restore lost motor patterns, allow for modifications to match an individual's genomics, and are necessary for training to be personal. An eccentric contraction is the motion of an active muscle while it is lengthening under load, essentially resisting gravity as the muscle lengthens. Eccentric training is essential for injury reduction.
Let me demonstrate the eccentric calf drop for you. Like I mentioned earlier, this is one of the best ways to prevent a calf injury by training the muscle to resist that sudden stretch. As I stand on the edge of the box with the balls of my feet at the edge, I'm going to press up with both feet, take one foot off, and slowly lower as deep as I can into that heel, training the body to resist that sudden stretch. Going to press up with 2 feet again and do the same thing on the other side. And press up and go down. I'm going to repeat that for about 16 repetitions per set. When you first start off, 1 set will be plenty. So today we've talked about personalized training from a standpoint of performance, rehabilitation, and corrective maintenance. You have got to tune in next time. We are going to go over the typical workout and the difference between that and what a personalized, optimal workout based on your individual goals are. Be thinking, what is it that you would like to do more of? What is it that you would like to do that you've never done? What is it that you may have been told you aren't able to do anymore? Set your goals high and let's reach them together. This is Alan Russell with The Human Conditioned.